Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying.
Yes, guys, and welcome back to the Unhinged, the Undefeated, and the Unbreakable TCP Live, coming at you live at 7:30 p.m. every Thursday evening on YouTube, and available ad-free on YouTube memberships and Patreon. Rohan said I should do my top button up.
I did not say that. I said it looks dweebish when you do it.
He says you look really cool, and you should wear more shirts. I think I should wear more shirts, just in general.
Are you a shirt guy, like in general, like day to day?
I think I am.
In the summer, like casually, are you like a, like, I don't think people casually wear a shirt like in winter.
Not like an Oxford shirt like that, but I'd wear like a short sleeve shirt, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a button up.
But not button up though, not button up.
No, but like a button down, whether I don't know.
Oh
yeah.
You know
what I'm trying to say, like a nice,
Would you ever do like double denim? I think it's a bit too risky.
It's a bit risky.
It's a bit risky.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I think I wish I was born in an era where you just wore the same. Like on Family Guy, they just wear the same thing every episode. I'd love that. You just wake up and you're wearing a shirt and a suit, and then you got some pajamas, and that's it. I think I'd prefer that.
Are you like, so let's say you have like a really introverty day, will you just stay in your pajamas?
Yeah, I've got a little pizza onesie actually here.
Pizza onesie. Oh,
if you guys ever see me wearing this in instant reaction or anything, or on a TCP Live, I've been in bed rotting all day. There's a few instant reactions where I've been wearing this, and I passed it off as a hoodie, and it is not. Yeah, I'd probably go with a, or maybe I've got I had a gift of a dressing gown from Soho House. It's very nice. It's very nice. So I'd probably wear that.
Yeah, it's just comfy clothes, just elite.
But you suit sort of sportswear.
Yeah, I do. I like wearing sportswear, but I don't actually wear like, I'm not someone who will like just casually wear my Arsenal top, for example. Like,
you wouldn't casually do that.
No, I wouldn't do that. No,
you wouldn't disrespect the badge in that way by wearing it.
But I do like. I'm like a shorts guy. Like,
I can see that.
Big shorts advocate. Like, I will not. The only time I won't wear shorts is when it becomes like, right, you just can't wear shorts now in this time.
Yeah, it's just undoable.
Like, but I'll try.
There are those people who just wear shorts all year round, shorts and a t-shirt all year round.
And that's mental. Like, even in winter, like peak winter, they'll
psychopath behavior.
Maybe they are the real resilient ones.
Alex, how was the job interview? Assuming that's what you've done today. I'm going to start wearing more shirts. I was saying this to my girlfriend earlier. I think I should just wear more, like, just in general. I think I look good in a shirt.
You do look good in a shirt.
Do you know what I mean? Suits my vibes. It's kind of more intellectual. Sort of.
Have you gone slim fit, or have you gone a little bit?
It's kind of.
Yeah, that fits you really well.
Kind of a slim. Yeah, do you know what I mean? It's a Uniqlo, my favourite shop in the world. Welcome back to TCP Live, everybody. Thank you all for being here. Thank you for Nindo being first in the house. How elite is Berta's turning radius? Evening, boys. I'm sensing a waffler this evening for some reason. I'm sensing there's going to be a lot.
As long as it is 8:55 cut-off time, we're out of here. I missed 5 minutes of The Apprentice last week.
You can pause and rewind live TV, Rohan.
I can, but I want to watch it live in the flesh.
You want to watch it?
Well, it's not even live anyway, but it's
sorry, yes. Sorry to burst your bubble. That is not live. This evening, we want to talk. Of course, we're going to talk the PSV game. We're going to talk Andrea Berta. We're going to talk. I want to talk Declan Rice, maybe Calafiori a little bit. We're going to talk about the United game. I want to play a little football links game. Have you ever seen this? Football links.
Oh, playing a different game now.
I'm asking you. Yeah,
I've never played it. No, I don't know what it is.
No, it's as a separate thing. So, like, it's basically you say a team at the same time. So, for example, you might say Arsenal, and you'd say United. You go 3, 2, 1. You say the team, and then it's the first person to find a player who links. So, Robin van Persie. So, the first person to say a player who would link the two.
Okay.
So I want to play it, but we'll play it later in the episode. I saw it earlier and I thought, want to prove my football ball knowledge. Everyone thinks I'm stupid because I forgot some sponsors. And then we want to build our summer to-do list. That is what we want to do.
Yes.
Stolen from Athletic Podcast. No, stolen from another podcast. But probably also, do you know what I mean? Let's do it. Let's talk the PSV game. Arsenal can win games, which is very exciting. 7-1. I wanted to ask you, what was your favourite goal out of the 7?
My favourite goal? Calafiori's.
That was mine as well. The movement, because he sniffs it out as well. He knows exactly where he's going to put that run. He knows exactly where that ball's going. It's really good. It's really good. The only reason I wouldn't say Miles and Waneri, sorry, I'm terrible. It is Waneri, and I keep putting a nye in it. It's Waneri, and anytime I say it, can someone comment and say, Alex, you're saying it wrong, and I'll get it into my brain. It's because the assist takes a deflection. That's the only reason. I didn't realize it at the time. But that's the only reason. The Calafiori one is cold and clean. The Trossard one's good as well.
Which goal did you hate?
Rank the goals. Which goal did I hate? Erdegaard, because I've got an agenda. I wanted that Rice one to go in as well, because I didn't realize it was a. We'll talk about him later a little bit, but I didn't realize it was a save. That was very nice. The PSV one, says Nicky in the chat. That was probably the one I hated.
I didn't even think about that.
It was a lovely night for Arsenal. Obviously, a couple of nights ago now. I think Spurs are losing in the Netherlands currently, which is lovely. Really, I mean, we sort of discussed it in the instant reaction. I haven't actually watched the game back, so I haven't particularly developed my thoughts since. Oh, what a mate! I haven't particularly developed my thoughts since then. But I really liked the risk we took. Like in terms of in possession, in terms of getting the ball centrally. I think you can go back, and I think certainly the first few goals, actually most of them, come from a ball being put at risk, being put into an area where, yes, it could be cleared. It could, it could change hands. But we spend so much of our time in the final third not actually converting anything to shots. And thank you for the super chat. We'll come to that in just a second. I saw this today, which you would think if I was going to reference it on the podcast, I should bring it up beforehand. No. You would be wrong, he says, filling for time. I saw this today. And this is from me and Rohan's absolute favourite. Is he our favourite X account?
I mean, literally every single podcast I refer to at least once.
Data Analytic EPL at Data Analytic EPL. So this is volume of shots versus dangerous shots taken. And you can see Arsenal sort of hanging around with the likes of Crystal Palace and Spurs in this aspect, and Liverpool right out in front. So in terms of X is across and the Y. So the Y-axis is XG per shot, and the X-axis is shots per game. And for those of you listening, we are sort of bang in the middle, bang average. Putting the ball at risk in that game, by the way, credit to Brentford, putting the ball at risk in that game meant, and this is one of the things that I want to do just generally as Arsenal, I want to find a way of moving up and right on this graph, improving this graph. I think it's one of the things that is really crucial to fixing our attack. Of course, 4 attackers out, big problem. Saka, Martinelli, Havertz, Jesus, that moves us up. Maybe Arteta tweaking stuff, that can help too. Ultimately, we need to sign £100 million worth of attacking talent, but putting the ball at risk as we did in that PSV game is a massive part of this tweak, and I think will help with this stuff. So that was one of the things I was really pleased with. Okay,
right. I'm going to caveat a big amount of what I'm going to say, because
here he goes.
Firstly, PSV were absolutely awful. I really want to reiterate this. It was so bad. Now, I am going to take a different perspective on this. Now, in this game, we saw Arsenal do a lot of things that we've been wanting Arsenal to do for a very long time, in terms of being a little bit more braver centrally and kind of having that trade-off move a little bit more towards being riskier and looking to play the ball in those areas. But PSV, the way they set up and their intentions pretty much allowed us to do whatever we wanted to do. And that's what we want to reiterate. You are not going to face a PSV in the Premier League the way they set up. And actually, when I watched it back, actually in the first watch as well, I don't know about you, but it felt like a game against Marco Bielsa's Leeds. And the reason why the reason why I say that, there's a big difference though, because Marco Bielsa's leads, like they were intense and they were really ferocious in terms of when they were looking to meet to their markers in those 1v1 battles. PSV adopted a lot of those kind of principles where they went man to man across the wide areas. And that played into our advantage because when they went man to man, it meant that we were able to make these rotations through the left-hand side with Gabriel, with Miles Lewis-Skelly, with Declan Rice dropping outside the block and drifting wide. It meant that those central spaces were opening up and PSV couldn't handle us. And what happened was PSV players became really confused in terms of who to pick up, in which sometimes you would see Perisic literally defending Declan Rice and Noah Lang defending at the back post. That's how strange it was to see in terms of their ideas, and that allowed us to access those central spaces. So whilst we were really brave, I think for me, like I didn't learn anything new from Arsenal in this game, like personally. Everything that they did in this game allowed us to thrive. And that's where we have to give ourselves the benefit because we capitalized to full effect. Scoring 7 goals in a Champions League tie in a knockout stage goes against the norm of Arsenal under Mikel Arteta in European competitions. Like the first leg, whether it's the Europa League or the Champions League, it has always been a struggle, usually. Whereas this time, we put the game to bed. And you can actually go further back to the Wenger years as well, in which Arsenal struggling in that first leg. And that's the big positive for me. And I also we'll go into more individuals, but I really want to talk about Martin Ødegaard because I think Martin Ødegaard, this is a great example in which the numbers that he's notched in this game has painted a false picture of the entire game. Martin Ødegaard was fantastic in the second half, but the first half, he wasn't good. And that's okay, but and it's a different topic because I felt, Martin Ødegaard getting man of the match in this game, I don't think that was a true reflection of what happened over the course of 90 minutes. I felt there were more influential players. And actually the driver of our performance and how good we were was actually through our left-hand side and those rotations. Most of our goals came through that area of the pitch and what we were looking to do in terms of dismantling PSV's man-to-man principles. So I think they played to our hands. And I link it back to the Leeds games and the Bielsa because we thrived in those sorts of environments and scored a lot of goals. Like we played Bielsa a few times. We scored 4 twice, so that's the way I saw it personally.
I hear that. I think when you do that, I've got a screenshot on the screen of the spaces Ødegaard was picking up. So that ball, I obviously can't play it because of copyright, but Partey plays that ball in. You cannot tell me, and this happened about 4 or 5 times, especially in the second half. You cannot, as a professional football team, set up in this way. Like the disconnect. This is Ten Hag levels. The disconnection between the front and the back was horrific, and in terms of where they were picking up. So yeah, I do agree with you. The only caveat I'd bring, and we're bringing both caveats, is I think in the first and second phase, agree with you, they played into our hands. But in the final third, what I'm talking about is risking the ball, and that's something that PSV were in a block. That when we got into the final third, they were in. Let me see if I can move it on. I'm just going to be really careful. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen. When we got into the final third in these sorts of zones, actually, this is a perfect example. So let me just share my screen again. Oh, can everybody see my screen? Hang on, there it is. So that ball has just gone in there into Declan Rice. And that's the sort of stuff we were doing all night. So when the Trossard, he's out here, normally he'd go back. He plays the ball inside to Declan Rice. Declan Rice turns around, whips it over, and Timber scores at the back post. Miles, I think, does a similar thing. And then again, that ball goes inside. That ball goes inside from Ødegaard. Now, again, the spaces were there. Yeah, I hear that. But that's really what I want us to build on in terms of risking that ball more. Because how many times do we know as Arsenal fans, Ødegaard approaches this area, we slow down, everyone gets compacted, the ball goes out to Saka, we go wide, whatever. And this was a great example for me of a game where, yes, we were facilitated in it a little bit, but actually in the final third, they were still in a pretty compact block. They're not in this shape, but we did the right stuff in terms of putting the ball at risk, which we haven't always done.
But even in that, if you bring that back, sorry, Alex,
no.
Okay. If you bring that back,
go on, my sweet prince.
If you bring that back, right, and yeah, I do want to emphasize, right, that there's this idea now, and this is very geeky, dweebish, nerdish, whatever you want to call it, in which Arsenal just struggle against a mid-block in general. No, PSV in this game, right, this is a frame a screenshot of them, looking to defend low. But PSV's
And they're in transition at this point.
Yeah, and PSV's intentions were to defend in the middle of the pitch, and they were playing a mid-block. But the difference is that Arsenal don't just struggle against a mid-block, they struggle against a specific type of mid-block. And it's the ones who can match us physically and are intelligent in terms of when to go and when to stay. PSV looked to go every single time. They fell to our bait and our trap. So they were still going in that mid-block shape and that idea and that intent to squeeze the centre of the pitch. But the principles that they were applying in that mid-block played into our hands. And also, they couldn't match us physically. So they couldn't better us in both regards. And even in this frame, I mean, you made the point there about it being in transition, but that's 4v4 against the last line right there. And this is where I'm saying, like, in the Premier League, the teams that we have faced, the teams that we struggle against, they don't set up like this. So massive credit to Arsenal for what they did, because scoring 7 goals, like I've already alluded to, that is incredible. But my God, this team that we played. Jeez.
And they had, to be fair, I mean, they've been better. They had a bit of an off night, I would say.
Yeah.
So yeah, but they really went for a bait. Also, just a final thing on that as well. It's physical mid blocks, but it's also when our fullbacks, because of the way we use our fullbacks on the inside, and when basically the fullbacks can't create movement. Let's see if I can do this on the fly and try and explain what I mean. But when we're inside here, so if a team is set up, say like this, in sort of, can you see that?
Yeah.
Let's say a team, and that's probably just about where, like, say, a West Ham was, sort of in general and average. Did you see the debate that Scott and George had about how you would define a mid block statistically? I found it really interesting. It was they had a discussion about it, and it's genuinely a really interesting conversation about how you define a mid block. Is it where the defensive actions are? Is it the line height? But that line height is like in possession. So it's actually a really interesting conversation. Anyway, another nerdy conversation. When we have our fullback, sorry, I've flipped the colours, but I'm sure you can live for now. When our fullbacks go inside, it's when they don't move. Basically, when they don't take our bait to either collapse in and create some space out wide, or fight. So say this is Timber inside here. When we can't create any movement, it's a big problem, because I think in a lot of these mid-block games, the fullbacks are moving. There's no movement. What was happening against PSV, in my opinion, especially with Calafiori on this side, is he was dragging this guy out. He was dragging this guy down here. And when these spaces start to be pulled apart, one of our big problems, again, and another way that we just need to have a look at in the Premier League, is when our fullback inversion isn't working, no one's moving. And that's when people ask for, we need a bit of running power on the outside, or whatever it might be. But that was another thing that PSV, I felt that their shape got disrupted by our fullbacks, which again doesn't always happen in the Premier League.
And that's probably a good way to go into the fullbacks, because I actually think...
Let's do some super chats first.
Super chats, yeah, go on.
We're cooking this evening. We're cooking. Benji Allen says, I've seen enough putting a month's wages on us to win the Championships League. We'll probably win the Championships League, to be fair.
Who do you want in the next round?
Thank you, Benji, for your super chat. I was being facetious and unkind, and I'm going to learn. We take your feedback very seriously at the Cannon Podcast. Real. Can I tell you why? I don't think we'll go through against either.
Yep, I agree.
But I think there's more of a chance that we'll surprise people and show our level against Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. I think Atletico Madrid... I hate being pessimistic, but I just don't think we go through against either. Atletico Madrid are as I know you're about to say, our tactical kryptonite. They are exactly everything we've just been describing. So they're our big problem, and then it will become a turgid margins game where no one will have any fun. We'll all be on the edge of our seats for 2 games, and I think they'll probably beat us off a transition moment or whatever. Real Madrid, I think, will have some amazing moments of showing our level defensively against that front three. And probably be a bit of more of a high-scoring, fun game, to be honest. And finally, also, I think it will allow us to kind of get that monkey off the back a little bit, because I think there will be, in future years, when we maybe have spent the hundreds of millions on the attacking talent, we go up against Real Madrid for the first time in the Champions League since 2000 or whatever it's going to end up being then. And we're going, oh, I'd like to play them. I'd like to see ourselves against them. I'd like to look in their eyes. I'd like the likes of Rice and Saliba and Saka to look at them, to be in the Bernabeu, lose probably, sorry to say, remember that, and go again next season and not fear anyone, because that's the pinnacle, that's the peak. You play Man City, but Real Madrid are probably the one team that you look at, going to the Bernabeu, do that, have that experience. We probably won't get through, sorry to say, but I'd love to do that.
I can sit here, and I said it before the draw was announced, in which I wanted us to be on that other side desperately on that other side, because there's a lot more favourable games in terms of how teams set up. For me, Atletico Madrid are our tactical kryptonite, but I think even with that in mind, I'd still back us more against them than Real Madrid personally, because Real Madrid are you've got a tactical kryptonite, and then you've got the final boss. Like the final boss in a Champions League sense. Yeah. They are like in Pokemon, when you I forgot what it's called. Like at the end, you go to the
what's it called? Oh yeah, like the
what's it called?
Not the dojo. I know what you mean.
The gyms, like the gyms.
Yeah, the gyms.
The gyms. Yeah, and it's like the last one. Real Madrid is that last one, but Real Madrid for the narrative would be so good. And I really want to see some of these matchups, like Vinicius against Timber,
Saliba versus Mbappe. Yeah.
Like Rice and Bellingham, two powerhouses. Like I want to see that, but I think we'd lose to both. To be honest, like Atletico Madrid, I think we can go like stink versus stink against Atletico Madrid. But you see what Julian Alvarez did. I don't know if you've caught the highlights of that game. Like he just slaps one in from from
and that again. That's attacking talent. Talent, and we'll come on to Berto a little bit later on. Before we come back to the super chats, we should do thumbnail check.
Yeah.
This is the best thumbnail I think I've ever seen, let alone
I've never seen it though. I've never seen
the
show. I've never seen
No, but it's this. If this isn't a 10 out of 10, I don't know what is. Forda has absolutely cooked. I've never seen the 7. To be honest, but the detail on this is absolutely unbelievable.
The detail is class.
Let's go through it. I think this is cool. So Forda tells me he's giving me the characters. So let me just read it out.
Hey, you've not seen The Boys either.
This is unbelievable. Say again.
You've not seen The Boys either.
I saw the first episode where someone's hands ripped off, and I hated it. Hate that stuff. I'm so I hate gore. I hate everything. Yeah. So this is. Oh no, sorry, it was on our group chat, wasn't it? So this is Maeve, and that's Calafiori. Trossard is the Deep. Erdegaard is Starlight. Waneri is A-Train. Rohan is Blind Spot. You look... No, I'm not going to say that on the stream. And you know the word I thought of. And me as Homelander. I look quite good.
You do.
Where's the I think I should wear that to a like a costume party or something.
Same hair. Got to do the hair as well.
You got to do the hair as well. Oh, there it is. The hidden Rohan's down here. Yeah, this is unbelievable.
It is actually unbelievable.
The level of detail on this, it's insane. 10 out of 10.
But it can't get a 10.
What do you mean it can't get a 10? Look at this.
Because we can always be better in life. We can always learn. We can always improve. We can always be more productive. We can always offer more to society. So I think...
I'm being called a narcissist in the chat. It's fair enough. Fair enough.
9.5.
It's 10 out of 10 for me. It's absolutely elite. If you're listening to us on audio, it's worth just checking out. Cook. Let's go back to Super Chats before we come back to the PSV game as well. Nicholas says, what are the chances we see Saliba being sold to Real for 115 million plus and we go get Huijsen to replace him for his 55 million pound buyout? Not what I want to see, obviously.
You can't replace Saliba, regardless of whichever way you look at it. So it's about damage mitigation, isn't it? So it's what's the best out there, talent-wise, that can kind of allow us to fulfill similar dynamics to what we already see.
Dean Huijsen is next up, to be clear. So
he's at his best on the left, though, I'd say.
Probably. But if Saliba has to go, and this is why we need a sporting director now. This is one of the reasons, and we'll come on to it in a minute. This is why we need a sporting director now, because he needs to speak to Saliba and his team now and say, look, we will not sell you unless you say to us, I want to go this summer. If you want to go this summer, that's fine. That is, we accept that, maybe the project's going I really don't think this is going to happen. My sense is Saliba, it will give us one more year for sure.
Yeah,
and I think he'll probably sign a new contract, but maybe we're on like a +1 or a +2. You can also, you can do stuff like that. I think he'd probably sign a +1 or a +2. But if he says, I want to go, that's fine. But we need to find a replacement. And that's why you need a strong sporting director who's got experience in the game, and possibly why a lot of people don't want Aito to say, look, we're never going to be hamstrung by talent. Saliba's, in my opinion, behind Van Dijk, the best centre-back in the world. Yeah. So if he wants to go, then let's do that. And this is probably one of the best versions, if Saliba were to go, to get that kind of money, to get Dean Huijsen for £55 million. But in terms of the chances, the question, I can't see it happening. Personally.
No, I think Real Madrid will be waiting next summer. That's how I've always felt with it. I agree. I think Saliba gives us one more year, and if we don't win, then I think there's a very, very, very good chance that he leaves. And to be honest, if he did, fair enough. As much as it hurt me, it'd kill me. But
yeah, I get the sense he's pretty well advised, and from everything we read and the conversations we have, and the fact he didn't jump ship in those 3 years when he was being loaned out, he knows, what is he, 23, 24? He's got 10 years left at the top. You don't need to rush to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You don't, you could go beyond, you could go to Real Madrid and have another peak somewhere. Like, you know what I mean? There's no reason. And if you left Arsenal and was seen as the, one of the first pieces going from that Arteta team, that would be a real shame. There's no rush. You're not 20. You're not.
Yeah, I mean, there's a chance that he stays even longer as well, and that would be great. Yep. But I think eventually, Real Madrid is the pinnacle of football for most players, and the opportunity to be a Galactico there's like so many. There's like things players dream of. It's like representing your country, and going to a Real Madrid. It's massive. So it will happen. But imagine he just stays forever, and it's a happy ending.
And he becomes the club mascot, and he takes everyone around the Emirates and says, "This is where I used to play."
Ultra Pro Gamer, PSV beat Thiago Motta, by the way. Rohan thesis my ass.
No, but the thesis was so good. Honestly, the thesis was so good. Like
I was saying to George the other day, you guys can do it.
I will not be there.
I need to read it again.
That's a level of football nerdery I will never reach.
Do you know what? Right? When you've got like the scale of nerd, like that surpasses the top end of the scale. It's so long as well.
Yeah, that's why I won't be there, mate. We did have some good individual performances from the game against PSV, despite Rohan ruining everyone's fun by saying, well, they're really bad. So actually,
let's look at the whole thing. Individuals.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
If you listened, darling, you'd know to put things in the dishwasher in that order.
They were terrible.
Declan Rice. I just want to read out a little stat about Declan Rice. Most chances created by Premier League players across all competitions in 2025. Declan Rice on 13. The next closest is Mohamed Salah with 8 and Martin Odegaard on 7. Because of what's happening in Arsenal's season, I don't think Rice's form and his performances at the minute are being particularly picked up on. He is in the form of his life, Declan Rice. He is a joke.
I think the fact that people, although there's always going to be a minority, but people don't dispute the money that we paid for Declan Rice, is a testament to how good he has been at Arsenal. I look back at when Arsenal signed Declan Rice. What did Arsenal need? They needed to bridge the gap in those big games against the elite. And our record against the likes of Man City, Liverpool speaks volumes since his arrival. And you can go through our record against the so-called Big Six, and it's fantastic. It surpasses anyone from the moment he signed at the club. And I would tell you that 85 to 90% of those games, you can make a really strong argument of Declan Rice being man of the match in those games. And bearing in mind what he's doing this season, I think the Chelsea game away from home, from that moment till now, he's been in insane form. And this is despite playing in a role predominantly that I don't think maximizes his skill set. And that's another conversation at a different time. But what he's doing, the impact that he's giving in possession, We know how good he is out of possession in the press and in settled play, and how he's able to win his 1v1s in key moments. What he offers on set pieces, just the versatility and the vast array of skills that he has in his arsenal is just it's just incredible. Like, and I found like Declan Rice had his worst game in an Arsenal shirt for me against West Ham, like hands down, you know. But you can't. There's very, very few games outside of that in which Declan Rice has not performed at Arsenal. That's how good he is. And you know, when he's like, you go to war, you got a big game. There are certain players you know will always play well, and Declan Rice is one of them. You know, it's like a standard baseline 8 out of 10 always, and that's what you want when you're paying that sort of money. Because what we did pay, it's huge, isn't it? You know, for a midfielder in the position that he's playing in, it is a lot of money.
Let's stick on that, because I think that's it's a really key thing.
Yeah,
and I know we talk about this a lot, but let's just put this into real terms. These are the top 15 Premier League transfers ever, so in and out. So the highest fees ever paid for Premier League players in terms of outwards or inwards. Top is Philippe Coutinho with 135 million. No one has ever said that's any good value. I can't think of anyone who thinks that Philippe Coutinho deal worked out to the 135 million euro fee that was given, right? Second is Enzo Fernandez. I think he's been okay at Chelsea, but no one's saying 121 million euros was worth it. Eden Hazard going to Real Madrid for 120 million euros speaks for itself. But what a fleece, by the way. Unbelievable.
Yeah, what a disaster.
Jack Grealish, 117.5 million euros. Look, I think there was a season which he performed in, and I think he's probably given maybe 60 to 70 million worth of value, maybe something like that, or maybe shown that at points in his career. It's never 117 million.
Statistical discrimination is what it is with Jack Grealish, right? And the reason why I say this, it's Jack Grealish has been, people who say Jack Grealish has been worth the money are grouping him in that sort of pot of players because of the trophies that he's won at Man City since he came to the club. Jack Grealish has not offered Manchester City anywhere near the money they paid for him. Like, I genuinely, surely that the most honest of Man City fans can recognize that as well.
Yeah,
like,
I think he's had periods where he's been great for them. Obviously, end of what was it, 22-23? Like he had a brilliant period for them. But yeah, Moises Caicedo. So I'll just skip past Rice. Moises Caicedo, 116 million euros, just below the Rice fee. Again, I don't think. I think probably he's one of the closest around Rice to be sort of near that value, but I don't think anyone would say, you know, Caicedo's never in a combined 11 over Rice or whatever. Like he's been decent for Chelsea, but in terms of their and he's had sort of poor periods as well. And then we keep going. Lukaku when he signed for Chelsea, Paul Pogba when he signed for United, Gareth Bale going to Real Madrid probably is maybe the one there that you'd say, okay, fair enough. But he's again, that's 16 million less than Rice. Harry Kane, you could argue maybe not for the value, but in terms of, because, you know, the valuation at 30 years old is quite difficult, but, you know, maybe you could argue he's done all right. Anthony's next. Cristiano Ronaldo when he went to Real Madrid, I think that was absolutely valid. Gvardiol, Maguire, and then Darwin Núñez. In terms of players coming into the league, that's the best ever transfer into for value. I think you could argue in terms of who's coming in. So Enzo, no. Caicedo, no. Lukaku, no. Pogba, no. I think you could argue Rice is the only person who's been worth that price tag. 160 million.
I mean, obviously there's still a sample size that needs to be developed, don't it? Even though, you know, he's been here for more than 1.5 seasons now, but that's the key, you know, the sample size. But ultimately, the only way in which he's going to get that recognition is by winning stuff, isn't it? And that's where the conversations always point towards. And that's why I think the Jack Grealish argument, like Jack Grealish has had some good games for sure. Like in that, the 22-23 season, he had some good games for sure, pivotal games like Chelsea away, for example, West Ham away as well. But it's not value for money. Declan Rice consistently has been outstanding. And I think sometimes it's because he's not a forward. Sometimes people have the mindset and the thought process of, because he wasn't a forward, he can never be worth that money. which I don't agree, because it's what he's offering to the team and the value he's offering, the big games that Arsenal are winning consistently and taking big points from, and just the consistency in general. I think any player can be 100 million if the worth to the team validates that. So, yeah.
But who pays 100 million pounds for a ball winner?
Yeah.
He's just a ball winner, mate. He's got the most big chances created by Premier League players across all competitions since 2025. He's just a ball winner, mate. That's all he is. Yes, and yeah, he's performing at an unbelievable level. I'm hearing myself through headphones again. Sorry.
Okay.
I think I think it's, I don't know why it like bleeds through, but maybe just turn me down a little bit.
How about now?
I can still hear it a little bit.
How about now?
Have you got echo cancellation off?
Think so.
Anyway, yeah. I also think in terms of what's been different in terms of the last few games, we could also talk about Zinchenko, by the way, in the left touch for us. But what's been different in the most recent games? If you go and watch his positioning, he's properly been high. Like when people say Marino is the centre forward, yes, he's been starting on paper as a centre forward. But when you watch Arsenal crash the box, when you watch Arsenal attacking, Rice is almost always on the last line now. And I think he was very unlucky not to get a goal the other night. So in terms of his versatility, because I think that guy could be world class playing 6. I think he could be he's world class, in my opinion, at points playing 8, although he has had some adaptation periods and maybe we don't use him in the best way possible. He's being pushed even further forward and he's been brilliant for us again. It's just a joke.
That's an interesting conversation, isn't it? Because I think, yes, against PSV in the spaces that they allowed, I think Declan Rice will thrive in that sort of environment. But I'll stand by it. I don't like this usage of Declan Rice predominantly, and I think we have seen that since he's came to the club. There have been games in which he has played underneath possession on the left hand side. Like for example against Nottingham Forest, I felt the usage of Declan Rice in that game was fantastic. If you're going to play him on the left side against a team that we know statistically defends the deepest, one of the deepest teams, defensive lines out of anyone in the Premier League, I don't want Declan Rice to be sandwiched between the lines looking to receive inside the block. I want him to be underneath possession, facing play, and being someone who is key in the build-up and also giving you that control in transition. But he said it in the Athletic interview as well. It's like he doesn't mind playing 8 when the game opens up and the spaces arise. And that's why he was fantastic against PSV, because of the runs he was making, the space that he was afforded as well. And but you are right, like the versatility that he offers. And I hope, with Zubimendi looking likely to come in and we'll obviously play that game as well, we use Declan Rice in a way that really allows us to kind of continue to increase our returns on him. Because you have to, when you spend that sort of money, you have to try and continue to maximize him. And I don't think we have always done that. But the fact that he's still being consistently great is a testament to the type of player that he is. For sure.
Nathan, thank you for your super chat. We will definitely be coming to some squad. We're going to go and basically build our list in a little bit in terms of next season. So maybe we should slightly be getting on with that just because of time. So yeah, remind me later. We'll come back to this question for sure. We probably don't have time to discuss Calafiori. Just quickly, I think I said this on the instant reaction, but Calafiori hasn't had the best start. I think what I would say is Gabriel joined in 2020, and by 2022, people were still questioning him, myself included, by the way. I'm not making that point. People were still questioning him. Probably by 23, 24, it was the first time there was a kind of universal acceptance that Gabriel was world class. What is that? 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, 20. That's 4 seasons. I think, unfortunately, Calafiori, and as well, people say, we never talk about his age. We talk about his age all the time on this podcast. Yeah, but people forget his age, apart from the time we bring it up all the time. Yeah. But what I will say is, Calafiori is coming into he's coming into the best defense in the world, in my opinion. And he's already looking okay. So it really gives me sort of, I think, a lot of encouragement that he'll be fine. I also said this on the instant reaction. To have a guy who I would trust to take a 10-game sample at Gabriel, I don't think I don't think the wheels would fall off. Maybe there'd be a couple of defensive moments, but I think we'd be okay over, if Gabriel had to sit down for whatever reason. And also can make a run like he did against PSV. If you want to give up on that profile, knowing the usage of the likes of Guardiola in the Premier League this season, if you want to give up on that, fair enough. After one season, not even one season, an injury hit season, by the way, His first season, where by the way, there's also been Marzo Skelly coming. If you want to give up on that, up to you. I am not giving up on that at all.
100%. I mean, like with Calafiori, just very quickly, like what you're seeing in terms of how good he is, like what's universally so far accepted amongst Arsenal fans is how good Calafiori is across various areas of the pitch, the zonal influence, the various zonal influence that he gives to the team, and that comes from. I'm not going to refer to the thesis, but his time at Bologna under Thiago Motta, there was a profound amount of emphasis on heavy rotations, versatility in order for you to build advantages and superiority. And that meant that you had to be comfortable in drifting in and out of different areas. And that's what Calafiori is doing. What he offers to us in possession is great. And that's why I think if Arsenal are going to have any sort of look from now to the end of the season, he needs to be an integral part of it through that left-hand side. And like the finish on Tuesday is crazy. And the thing is, I reckon every Arsenal fan knew he was going to score as well. Did you know? When he went for a goal, even though it was on his weaker right foot, I knew he was going to score. Like that's the confidence he gives me in that sense.
Yeah. When you find an account on Twitter or something where you're like, this guy knows ball. There's a guy I would recommend everyone to follow called Bastion.net on X, Bastion.net. He's really smart on Arsenal. I'm going to be really careful with the copyright. Something he pointed out, which is absolutely bang on. Calafiori's at your level of activity, as Carlos Costa would say, his activity off the ball. There's all these clips he shows. Do I risk it? They're Italian league clips from last season off X. I think it'd be fine. No, I'm not risking it. But if you look at his level of activity off the ball, I'm just going to be really careful. Actually, no, I'm not even going to risk it. You can. Sorry. It's just. He's always asking for the ball. He's always active off the ball. Let me just move to the next one. So here, he's basically playing centre back. The ball's over on the far hand side, and he's really calling for it. Go and watch these clips. Is basically what I'm saying. Let me just stop and move on to another slide. He's in terms of his proactivity off the ball. He's always, I would say, first to it, and then willing to drive forward and go into different areas. And even when the ball is far, you can see players when the ball's far side, you kind of switch off a little bit. Then maybe whatever. Calafiori is wanting to get involved in the game. It's one of the things I love about him. It's a really good point. But yeah, I mean, just generally, he doesn't quite fit into everyone's idea of what a left back is, and it's sort of similar to Ben White, isn't it? Where I think I know what an inverted fullback is. That's what that is, and I know what a traditional fullback is, and I can judge those two things. When someone falls somewhere in the middle, where it's like I don't quite understand this talent, it can be misread, in my opinion. Ivan Smith says, "I'm convinced that."
I mean, I still think for me, like he's.
You're talking of a super chat. The disrespect to our audience.
Continue.
Sorry, what were you saying, darling? Go on.
No, I was just saying, I still think, and this might still sound unpopular, especially with what Calafiori has offered at his best so far, which is in possession in advanced areas. I still think his best role is left centre back, which is interesting, isn't it? Like,
possibly. I'm convinced that Calafiori can play to a decent level or better in every outfield position, says Ivan. His versatility is insane. Yeah, I mean, just in terms of his physicality, like his two-footedness, I think the physical level. I think I feel like I've seen a physical jump since the beginning of the season. I remember watching him live in the preseason game, and he was very sort of very active, almost too active. And I've just praised his activity off the ball, but I think it's come now to a point where he kind of knows when to use it and when not to. And that combination he had with Trossard on the left hand side was really, really nice. George, I'll come to your super chat in just a second. Anything else on the PSV game before we move on?
Final thing, Jurriën Timber, just what the season he's having, like on the back of an ACL, I think is crazy. Like what he's offering to the team, help in adversity as well, playing centre back at times, has had to fill in at left back. It's not ideal in terms of on the ball, but he's done a job there. He just padlocks players, mate. Honestly, like every single time. Like Anthony Gordon's the only one I'd say has had significant success against him. But even then, Anthony Gordon's not been burning him in 1v1 scenarios. Anthony Gordon's done better against Timber in like small little moments, like the back post in the home leg, the cross for Isak in the game earlier in the Premier League. But Timber's fantastic. And actually, when we're looking at like our best pressers, Saliba, Gabriel, Rice, in no particular order, and Timber, they are our four best pressers in terms of winning it back and
I'd stick
being
White in there.
ahead of Timber. Not a chance for me.
I don't know. I think it's different. I think in terms of backing things up, in terms of the guy who's going to consistently make that run when the ball goes out wide left and Odegaard's pushing on, Saka's pushing on, or whatever. I guess we just have more sample.
Like what I mean is like, right, when the opposition, like we get them caged in, we force them wide and we've locked on. Never gets past Timber, like the player. He is always on you, back to goal. Sometimes he's too aggressive, concede a foul, but he will not allow you to escape. Just doesn't. Like the intensity he plays with, mate, if he keeps this up, we're looking at him alongside the likes of Odegaard, Raya, Gabriel as like in terms of value for money in the Arteta era.
He's crazy.
It's
an unbelievable pick, and I think because it didn't work out immediately because of the ACL, people haven't quite clocked. But in terms of the numbers we paid for him and the level he's delivering, do you know the game similar to the Nottingham Forest game that I think gets better in hindsight, not the most recent one, the 3-0, is the PSG game 2-0 at home.
Yes.
When Timber just locked off Barcola.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, Dembele hadn't come into form. They hadn't signed Kvaratskhelia, so they're a different team now, maybe different dynamics, and they've found a bit of form, etc. But they had nothing, really.
That's still one of my favorite wins of the season. Like how good we were on that day. But...
yeah, really good game. We are still waiting to hear on Andrea Berta. Obviously, is the top choice. I think there's latest reporting for David Ornstein and so on is saying that there's still a short. Well, I want to be careful. Let me just get his words up correctly. But I think there's been some good reporting today about Arsenal are still looking. Obviously, it's a complicated process, and people are still trying to find what's the word? It's a lot of moving parts. Apparently, there's stuff with like fixtures and so on and so forth. He spoke on, I think, the Athletic football podcast. I can't find the quotes, so I'm not gonna butcher them. But I think it's an interesting one because I think the Berta name came out and it makes a lot of sense to me, and I got excited by it. But then today I was like, okay, if that didn't happen, how would I feel? And then you start thinking about the Atos, you start thinking about the Skuros and stuff. I just think the Berta one, and maybe I've convinced myself, but it just makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And I think for me, in terms of the experience and, the stuff we were talking about earlier with Saliba, like I want someone to walk in the room with some authority. And I think someone like a Thiago Skuro or a Berta comes in with a level of, okay, we've signed possibly the best candidate we could have got in terms of experience and profile, right? The problem with the Jason Ato, he might be the best person for the job, but I just think sometimes optics matter, and optics matter to players and their camps. And I think Arsenal at this time, maybe he is the best person for the job. And by the way, if they do it, I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. If we sit here in a couple of weeks' time and they're given the job to Jason Ato, I will give him time. I'll say, look, I'm not convinced, but let's give him time because you just don't know who these guys are. And, you see him on paper, etc. It's very exciting. But the reason that Thiago Skuro is exciting or Berta is exciting, and Berta makes the most sense because he's got the highest level of experience, is because they walk in the room with that level of authority. They walk in the room and they say, I've been there, done that. I've negotiated contracts with the Griezmanns and the Alvarez's of the world. And I know how to do this. So I can sit down with you. I'm really, really keen for it to be someone like that, and ideally Berta. But yeah, how are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I mean, we've said in many pods, from my perspective, I've not really wanted to research into all these sorts of different types of sporting directors that we've been linked to. I just kind of once the concrete links arise, that's when I'll start to do a bit more legwork on it and look to read up. And I think I've always had certain criteria points of not being a contrarian, but also not being a yes man. He fits into that. Your ability to work with Diego Simeone and challenge him, which has been publicly known information, speaks volumes of the type of person he is, whilst also maintaining a good relationship that has allowed Atletico Madrid to have a lot of success, in terms of honours, but also how they've rebuilt the squad. So he's ticking all these boxes that I want. Now, again, there is a big caveat in terms of we will never be able to know exactly what his role will be at Arsenal, the ins and outs. And we also don't know exactly what his role specifically is at Atletico Madrid, although we have a good idea of what it was. But I think with Arsenal, and I had a little bit of not a back and forth, but like Scott Willis replied to one of my tweets in which I said, I think this is a pivotal moment in Arsenal's project under Mikel Arteta. We need to get this right, and I think from my perspective, I don't want Jason Ato. And he replied saying, well, how do you know he's not the right person for the job? I was like, yeah, my argument there is flawed because I don't know enough about him. But I don't think we are at a stage in which we can kind of risk going along that sort of avenue. And then people would argue and say, well, we took a risk on Arteta. But it's a different scenario. Like when Arteta came in, I wish I was on Twitter on this account before, because I wanted Mikel Arteta at Arsenal in 2019. And my thought process on it was not because I knew he was going to be great. It was kind of like, the club's a mess. The club's an absolute mess. Let's take a risk on something because it's exciting. I don't want to go for something that I know, like an Allegri or someone like that, because it becomes it becomes a little bit more of the easy option. Going with an Arteta in that moment, what have we got to lose? The club's in an awful place. Now the club is in a place in which it needs to win now. And I don't want to pair Mikel Arteta, who's still inexperienced, with someone who, again, in real terms, in Jason Ato, in the real world of football and being able to rebuild a squad successfully and win trophies, he's not got that experience. I want someone who's been there and done it. And that's why I think this makes sense for me. So
and I know we've been burned with this sort of contacts first approach. But I don't think it should be. It shouldn't just be a case of you're a contacts club or you're a data club or you're a never break the wage structure or always break the wage structure. It's there's got to be a bit of give and take. And I think what I like about Alberta is he has taken. I've said this in it. Well, firstly, I also said this in a TDK video this week. We're guessing for a lot of these things. Ultimately, a lot of this stuff is out of sight, and we just won't know. But what I like on the surface of it is he's a guy who's taken risks both on and off the pitch with Atletico, coming into a structure that is a little bit risk averse, and just even that a little bit that tension probably gets you exactly in the middle. Probably gets you somewhere where, for example, in the same way that we love Arteta's structure, we love his order because it's brought us so much. We just need a couple of players and a couple of moments that give us a little bit of the chaos. It's not going all the way to the other end. It just makes a lot of sense to me. I've got my hopes up that it is Berta. Some outlets are reporting it's close. Some outlets are saying it's still in the mix. Who knows? It's going to be a complicated process. It's going to be fascinating either way, but I think Berta makes a lot of sense to me. Scuro, to be fair, also does because he's kind of worked his way up and he has his connections and stuff. But yeah, Ato, I'm not surprised he's in the final. I think some people are saying he's in the final four. I think Sammy Mockball said in the mail that he's in the final four. But yeah, it would just be a bigger risk than we need to take, I think.
Yeah, especially at this stage. Like I made the reference before. It's kind of like if you get Jason Ato, it's like pairing a graduate with another graduate. Even though Mikel's not a graduate anymore, but it's kind of like I just think now let's go for the option that we have enough information to be more confident in, and then people will point to Raul Sanllehi and what happened there, someone who had a lot of experience, but. Just because it didn't work then doesn't mean it's not going to work with someone of Berta's ilk, and sometimes you've got to take risks as well, don't you? Like there could be friction, and I think friction sometimes stimulates growth. I kind of really hope we get this done now. Like if
I've got my hopes.
If I didn't research about it, I'd be like, I don't care.
I've got my hopes up a little bit, and the thing is, I'm always cautious of like trying to. Am I just rationalizing the club's behavior because I want it to be right? Do you know what I mean? We want it. We want to get this appointment right. So then, am I just saying, oh, the top choice is Berta, therefore Berta makes the most sense? I don't think I am. And if it is an Ato or whatever, I will say, look, that's not my first pick. But also let's see. And I think we, because this is a role and a position where we know so little, what we're doing is we're triangulating information. We're getting bits and pieces and putting stuff together. You can see with a manager how they play. Yeah, you see it every 3 days. You watch their results. You don't really see that with Sport Direct. It takes much longer. So we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, I think certainly on the surface of it, Berta makes the most sense.
No to Ato.
Let's do what we came here to do, Rohan Jivan. And you know what's coming next. The Pages document is back.
Oh God.
The blank Pages document is back.
Our ideal summer window. Smiley face.
This is the top level production quality you expect on the Cannon podcast, isn't it? I mean, this is just unbelievable.
Sensational.
Our ideal summer window. Why don't I put it in red?
Our ideal summer window.
So we're going to order from priority to not priority. Well, less priority. Here, what we want to do this summer, I'm going to put in. I'm going to change win. Nah, leave it at winnow. Funny. We're going to put in. I have prepped actually. My little list of things that I want to do. I have my top priority. The weird thing about this summer window, right? Let's just start off with this, and we'll come to some super chats in a second because we've had a few. The weird thing about this summer window is I think there is only one thing that isn't dependent on other players, and I'll explain what I mean about this. The only thing is that win now forward. That is the only thing I don't think is dependent on anything else. Everything else, I think, could be argued, and I will argue that, for example, the 6-8 is dependent on what happens with Jorginho and Partey. The second goalkeeper, well, there's Carl Hein out there, there's Tommy Setford, etc. There's different conversations you could have, right? How dependent and what needs to be happening is going to be different in each case. But I think the only thing is that one-time win now forward. That feels to me like we have squad space for that. There's nothing needs to check. We can just do that. There's nothing that needs to happen.
Yeah. I buy that. I do buy that. Yeah.
How much are you paying?
Tenner.
Lovely. So let's build our ideal summer window on the beautiful.
Just profile or actual player?
Just profile.
Yeah,
just profile for now. We'll go and we'll work on this again at some point and maybe come into profiles. So I think top priority is a one-time win now forward, and I don't mean necessarily a striker or a left winger, whatever it might be. I just mean a forward, whoever that is.
I agree.
Good.
Yeah, I agree.
Next up, and then we can order these at some point.
Yeah. Next up,
I think
go for.
Go on.
Forward number 2
as a second top priority.
Yeah.
Okay, we can argue that in a second. One times, are we saying project forward?
A forward that still improves Arsenal as of today. Whether it's project or win now, that's irrelevant to me in that sense. As long as someone who improves the team right now, I think we need to. I'm adamant we need to. I'm sick and tired of looking at other teams like PSG and the pace they have in their attack. And I look at my attack and think, it's like we're towing a caravan, some of the players.
No, it's true. I think we for sure at some point in this, we can order this maybe a little bit later. We for sure need a second goalkeeper. That may be dependent. Again, it's dependent on whatever it is. We'll position that in a second. I think arguably we need a dynamic left back.
Yep, we're on the same page, yeah.
Yep. I think. Oh yeah, let's put that because I think in terms of priorities, what we need. I think arguably we need a 6-8.
Yep.
And I think it again arguably is dependent a 8-10. This is dependent on, for example, Fabio Vieira. This is dependent on what Odegaard does. This is dependent on where we see Waneri. But I think that is on my list as a kind of.
There's another one for me.
Go on.
Depends on which way you want to go, but I'll leave it open. Right back / centre back. I think it's very important with Tomiyasu's situation. I think Tomiyasu's situation forces me into that market personally.
Okay. So that is a win now forward, another forward, a dynamic left back, a 6-8, a right back / right centre. Sorry, I meant. Do you mind popping out and coming back in and putting echo cancellation on? Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
I can still hear myself on the other end, and it annoys me when I listen back because I like good audio. So we have one win now forward, one dynamic left back, 1-6-8, one right back / right centre back, 1-8-10, and one second goalkeeper. Do we feel, chat, and when Rohan comes back in, I'll ask him. Here's what I'm asking Rohan. We're back. Do we feel there's anything else we could potentially need? And again, these things might not all happen, and we're going to order them in terms of priority. But is there any other category that we think we need? People are saying we're not signing 7 players. We're not saying we are. We're just saying what we could possibly need.
I don't think so. I think we've got everything there. I think there's actually a spot there that I'm not really bothered about us going for as well. So
let's order it then. I think priority is a win now forward. I think that is the top priority for the summer.
Yeah.
I think the 6-8 might be in ahead of the second forward.
Well,
I think that might be second priority. Again, it depends what happens with Jorginho and Partey.
Yeah.
But let's assume with all of these that the situation occurs.
I'm looking at it more from the perspective of what do Arsenal need right now that takes them to the next level in order. Like, because I think if we start to do dependent on X, Y, and Z, like left back becomes an essential need if Kieran Tierney, Kivi, or Zinchenko all leave, So
let's assume that all these things need to happen. For example, the second goalkeeper, we are going to sign a second goalkeeper. Let's for the sake of this argument.
I genuinely think the top 2 is where I would have it. I think for me the biggest.
But then you would have, for example, let's say the win now forward was Barcola.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would have Havertz, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, Barcola, not Raheem Sterling, Waneri, and Jesus.
Depends on where you're looking at Waneri, though, predominantly, right?
Sorry, and plus 1. And that's 8 attackers. That feels a little bit like overkill to me.
I think we need to make some sales. I think we just... Okay, this is an ideal world, isn't it? I think, to be honest, there's going to be a few players that we want to move on that will still be there. But I think the biggest driver for Arsenal is the forward line. Like, and for me, that's about investing as much money as possible into that area of the pitch. If we're signing
though a 6-8, it's because we need one.
Yeah, for sure.
And in terms of an injection of quality, let's assume in this situation Jorginho and Partey moved on, which I think is a fair assumption.
Yeah, okay, then you can put 6-8 just above the second forward. Fine.
Yeah. That's what I think. Okay, let's move further.
I know what's my last priority. I don't know if people will agree with it.
So we're saying top priority is win now forward. Second to top priority. We'll come to all the super chats in a minute. Thank you all so much. Second to top is a 6-8.
I also don't think 6-8 for me. Sorry I don't think 6. I think for me a 6. Like it has to be a 6. You lose Jorginho and Partey, your only number 6 is Declan Rice and Sambi Lokonga, mate. But Sambi Lokonga looks better than double pivot.
Let's do this 6-8 if we've lost J20 and Partey. Maybe it is a 6.
Yeah, it has to be. Like,
yeah. But then in that situation, do we need an 8 as well? Or not because we've got Miles?
This is where I'm going with. This is why 8-10 for me is my last priority on this list and why I'm not. Yeah.
Okay. Let's assume we've lost J20 and Partey for that. With a forward, let's assume...
Yeah, you can say project or whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, I think a project forward makes sense for me. And that is with no sales.
Yeah. I
think we can do that with no sales. Or maybe a low-key sale.
Yeah.
Maybe and obviously Sterling's going, but say a Trossard goes, and I'm not being specific there, but say a Trossard goes, I think we can afford to sign a pro, but I think we could do that without a sale as well. for me. Then how do we order these? So the final
This is
four
where it
are
gets interesting.
dynamic left back, a right back and right centre back, a 8-10, and a second goalkeeper. Let's assume for the second goalkeeper, for example, it's not going to be Setford or Hine or whatever it might be. We're signing someone. That then goes up the list, surely.
Has to go. That arguably goes alongside a 6.
Well, then, yeah, it might go here.
Yeah,
If we're saying, yeah, you need a second goal. Yeah, to be fair. Okay, let's assume it's not Setford or Hine. So yeah, the second goalkeeper goes there then. A left back. Let's assume. Let's pick a scenario. Let's assume. Let's say Zinchenko goes.
But we know Tierney's going there, don't we? So maybe it's better
Sorry,
to
and
see-
Tierney and Zinchenko go.
yeah. Then right back and right centre back goes ahead of that for me.
Goes ahead of that if Tierney and Zinchenko go.
Yeah.
For me though, the dynamic left back, it's like we need running on that side. It's so important to me. I don't really care how we do it. This could come from the 8-10.
You
But we need.
You could also get running from the left winger as well.
Yeah.
Think of it like this, Alex, right? Our right centre back and centre back options right now, as of what we've seen on the Mikel Arteta, I stand by. I think Calafiori's got good potential at right centre back, but it doesn't seem like that's going to happen as of today, right? It's Kivior, Tomiyasu, Benjamin White, and Jurriën Timber. Kivior, no. Tomiyasu, unfortunately, you can't rely on him. You know, that's a sad reality. So we're left with Saliba, Timber, and Ben White. Like, I don't think that's enough, personally.
I think this is dependent on Tomiyasu. Should we say this is dependent on Tomiyasu?
Yeah, but I think Tomiyasu, I think it's already well documented that he's going to be towards the end of the year, if that, I think.
Okay, so
yeah.
Let's say, okay, Tommy returns December 25, but then can play. Let's say that's the situation.
I still think it's above left back for me.
For me, I don't think that's above left back. I don't think that's above left back.
Because we're assuming Kivior's still here, right? We're assuming Kivior.
Yeah, in this situation, yeah.
Like I prefer Kivior at left back than right centre back personally.
I think if Tierney and Zinchenko go, and we're seeing Miles potentially playing in the midfield, we're left with Calafiori.
But I think Miles will still play.
Calafiori, Miles, and Kivior, and that's quite. For me, I think I want a running. And by the way, this would be probably a young left back.
For me, I think we disagree here. I think right in the back is so important. Like if Tomiyasu was fine, like I'm good. I'm so happy with what we have there.
Let's say for the 8-10, Vieira stays.
Yeah,
I think that is bottom priority. So we're saying we disagree on these.
Yeah,
but other than that,
we're good. Yeah, we're good.
Actually, no, it would make sense. Hang on, just for my brain, it would make sense for the heading. Do you know what? Let's just put it all in black, and then put these two in red.
Oh, yes.
So we're saying our ideal summer window. The top priority is a 1x win now forward, which is not dependent on anything. The second top priority is a second goalkeeper, if we're assuming that it's not going to be Setford or Hine or whatever it might be. The third top priority is a 6 if we lose Jorginho and Partey. The fourth top priority is a project forward if we're saying it's no or low key sell, i.e. we don't sell a Martinelli or a a Havertz or anything like that. Project forward. Then we're disagreeing. Oh, would I put a project? I might put project forward a bit lower.
I can't just have one forward coming this summer. I need 2 forwards, man. I need money invested in that line.
And we're also assuming Reece goes, I think, in that situation. Yeah. We're disagreeing on the next one, which is I'm saying a young dynamic left back. If Tierney and Zinchenko go is then my next priority. And you're saying that will go below a right back or right centre back if Tommy returned in December 2025, but could play. So you'd be worried in that open end of the season, the first part of the season, that something would happen.
Yeah, I think so. And then we're overburdening certain players with the workload. I think we've got a lot of players who can play left back, even though it's not ideal. But I don't think we have as much at right back, right centre back. I don't mind which way you go with it. If you believe Ben White should play more minutes at centre back, go for a right back then. But if you believe Ben White should compete with a Timber, then go for a centre back. So yeah.
And we're both saying bottom priority with Vieira staying would be an 8-10. And I would agree with that, because I think in that position you've got Odegaard, Marino, Vieira, Waneri, Miles. Who else?
Well, I mean, you've got like
Saka might start
Havertz as
playing
well. Havertz has got
Havertz
minutes.
can play there.
There's a lot of options there. Like Ethan Waneri and Miles Lewis-Skelly have saved Arsenal a lot of money in terms of what they've done this season.
Yeah.
It's the butterfly effect, isn't it?
Max Dowman coming in as well.
Yeah, the injuries we've had have been really difficult for us, but one of the big positives is what we've seen these two do and how they have showed they are absolutely ready on the big stage now. And that's.
Let's come back to the super chats. Nathan Piper says, "What are your must-haves for squad building next season? Competition and injury-proof for me. What's your thoughts on having Saka battle out with Mbeumo for the right wing? Semenyo and Martinelli. I don't know about bringing in Mbeumo to challenge Saka on the right. I as I've always said, I'm less against Saka moving. I'm
actually not as keen on Mbeumo anymore because of what Waneri can do to deputise in Saka's absence, personally. So, like, Mbeumo would be fantastic because he offers qualities that this team lacks, particularly in transition. But I'm not as big on him now, especially with what Ethan has been doing, even though I don't believe Ethan's best position is right wing. But we have got someone stylistically who can offer similar dynamics in the absence of Saka. So I want us to invest big. Left wing and centre forward, that's where I'm looking. So,
in terms of Semenyo, I think that doesn't fall under project forward for me. It's not a win now forward, but I think it would require. Well, maybe it is. It's edging further towards win. It's not quite win now for me, but it's also not project. It's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. I think that would mean a Martinelli sale to me. If they want to do it, maybe I'd be more interested. I don't know. Maybe I'm falling back in love with Martinelli, having fallen out of love with him this season. George Cole says, "Might American owners be pressured to sell up?" I can't see the Cronkies coming in. And when was it? 2006. Selling at what feels like the peak time when we might actually win something. I really feel that the Cronkies are going to massively invest this summer, and that's frustrating because they've left us short. And their response to this season wasn't good enough. But, I'm not as far as, let's say, George, who is really sort of on their case. I really do think they're going to spend big this summer.
It's not just that. Like, why would they sell right now? Arsenal financially are in an incredible place.
The Premier League, man.
They're not selling. And also, I've said it, they've got a massive red mark for me in the January window. But I'm someone who gives more chances personally, and I think the summer window they will invest. But yeah, it certainly did annoy me, to say the least.
Yeah. Roberto Beshko has been a member for 20 months. How kind. Would you rather sell Trossard or Nelly this summer?
Trossard. Yeah, Trossard.
If there was a crazy, if we're getting like 70 mil for Martinelli, you might have me. You might have me.
By the way, how good of a signing has Trossard been? You consider?
He's been brilliant. Can I just say, you all laughed at me when I first started talking about selling Martinelli. Did you not? Were you not on a podcast? Do you remember that podcast?
Did you also say you'd sell Trossard in the summer?
I said I'd sell Trossard last summer, yeah. For £30 million. Yeah, because I thought we were going to invest in a forward and we didn't.
What is £30 million going to get us in this market in Trossard's absence? I
think Trossard, if we'd signed an Isak or whatever it might be, Trossard wouldn't and hadn't had the. Hang on, we're speaking post 4 injuries. We're speaking post 4 injuries, and also because I thought we'd get a proper win now forward. In that situation, he's been brilliant for us, yeah. But I would have sold him for £30 million last summer and hopefully got an Isak plus 4 players back. Go on, try and cook me. Dane Howarth says, for me, next window that's realistic: 1, centre forward level raiser, Sesko or Osman; 2, left wing level raiser, Gordon Mitoma; DM level raiser, Kimmich, free. Super Mendy for 60 million. 4, attacking midfielder, Naipan, Gula; 5, goalkeeper, Garcia.
That
Any names
signing
on there
on
you want to
bonus
talk about?
and wages of Kimmich. Good lord.
Yeah, mate. The signing on and the free for Kimmich is doing a lot of work there.
Yeah.
He'd be a lot of money. Big,
Tell you
great
what,
player.
Tell you what, though, he like the player itself. That's the best deep line playmaker on the market. Like hands down, he's better than Zubimendi. But the age, obviously, it's and also the fee and the. But you know what? If we got Kimmich,
Yeah.
I would put left back ahead of right back and right centre back.
Yeah, so would I.
No, but you're right now. You've kept left back ahead of right centre back, right back. I'm saying I'd move left back.
Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm with you.
Yeah. So he does fix certain things, but
Yeah.
just
I don't. For me, Sesko doesn't fall under win now forward. Sorry.
You love this win now forward line.
Win now forward, and what I mean is Isak, Barcola, Leao. Like that's what I mean by win now forward. And do you know what annoys me, right? Is everyone will say Arsenal need a win now forward or Arsenal need a forward at that level. The moment you say, well, then we need to sign him, people go, no, you can't do that. Well, you can't win then. We can't sign the forwards that we need, but the only way to do anything and the only way Arsenal will get respect in the eyes of these fans is if they go and sign a player like that. We can't win then. What's the point? No, but do you know what I mean?
It's also like that argument of we need to sign the best players, but then also we can't break our wage structure.
Yeah. We can't put Saka on anything over 300 grand a week, but we need to keep him at the club. Oh, okay, we'll have fun with that. Let's come to this from Suj, who says, I would like to see Calafiori at 8 with KT at left back. Calafiori at 8. As a runner, I worry about him receiving.
You put him anywhere. That guy is top.
He'd surprise you.
Put him in goal as well. Put Raya up top.
If there was, who do you think in the Arsenal squad would be the best goalie? You know, like Kyle Walker went in goal.
I think Declan Rice would be pretty good.
Yeah, he'd be good.
Yeah,
I think Rice would be good.
Nimble, isn't he? Agile, like height.
Neto would be good, apparently.
Was your head on Mars?
For some reason, I feel like Kivior. I feel like Kivior would be good.
You and Kivior, man.
I'm saying he'd be a good goalie. What's the chat saying? Gabrielle would be good in goal.
It's like centre backs and sixes, isn't it? Like tall eights. Like
yeah. David says, good day, Unk. Call me uncle. I'm not old. How might Kimmich and Zubi work? I don't think it will. There's no chance we sign Kimmich and Zubimendi. Absolutely zero chance. No chance. So it wouldn't. But I mean, okay, if I had to answer the question, if we sign them both, Kimmich would play right back. But then we'd be selling someone. Someone's going.
Yeah. It makes no sense to sign both. No sense.
No. I can't see the Kimmich thing happening. And supposedly he's signing a new deal with Bayern. Yeah. Sutton Explorer says, thoughts on pushing Ødegaard to the left wing? And also thoughts on Florian Wirtz joining as an 8-10 hybrid to rotate with Ødegaard / Waneri there. What we haven't maybe discussed, not for me, for the left-hand side for Ødegaard, sorry. In terms of Wirtz, what we haven't discussed is special cases. And sometimes players come up. He won't, to be clear. But players like Kimmich come up, or players like, Kane release clause. Again, we won't do that, and I don't think we should do that. But things come up in a window. And I could be convinced, for example, let's put our absolute pies in the sky. Lamine Yamal has a fallout with the Barcelona and pushes for a move. Yes, you go and do that. So I think that's maybe the thing we haven't necessarily discussed, where that could change plans. Is there anyone out there that you think, like Florian Wirtz? I don't think that would happen.
Florian Wirtz,
Musiala signed his new deal. Yeah.
They're the two. Like, when we're talking about 8-10s, right, and priorities, that is very much a position in which if a incredible market opportunity arises in which you need to put yourself in that draw, you do it and you change your plans to accommodate that. Talent is the driver to success. Always has been, always will be. Said it before. Tactics at the top level are imperative, but tactics at the top level is not what drives the outcome of winning those big honors. It's the talent. It always has been. That's why football's great and why people don't care about tactics as well. A lot of people, because they see a talent. Like if yesterday, for example, you see
Barcola.
you see Barco, you see Usman Dembele's, right? It can be very frustrating, but you see the talent that he has. People pay their money to watch that. They don't pay their money for the tactics. Not to say the tactics aren't important, but it's the quality that drives the outcome. And
yeah, no, it's true. It's true. And then sometimes that pushes in activity in the window, which people don't like.
Yeah.
I listened to the overlap breakdown with the Liverpool recruitment analyst, which was good. I mean, he's quite... The problem with getting people on that who are still like active in the game, they don't really reveal much.
That's what I was going to say. Yeah.
It's quite difficult. But one thing he did say, which I thought was interesting, is like, he says like sometimes like they're aware of outside pressure, and they're sometimes like they wish that they could like tell people like just wait for the summer. And like it's really hard to hear at the time. And even if we're in the summer, let's say in the summer we are signing Isak, I still think we should have done something in January. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Clavy baby, yes, darling.
We are approaching 4 minutes till
this guy, man. This guy, you're paid for an hour and a half. This guy is a joke. He doesn't even care about the kind of podcast.
I'm sure people want to watch The Apprentice as well.
Clivey baby, need a winger, arguably two, i.e. Semenyo and Nico Williams. Again, neither of those are in win now for me. I think like they're both beyond project forward, but neither of them are in win now.
Would you take a Nico Williams and Sesko? Summer window. I would.
We need like one of the best players in the world.
Do you think Arsenal could have won the league with a bit more luck injury-wise this season?
Yeah, mate. And this is what I was saying on the pod with George, right? Like I think people have got short. I did a poll, and if you saw,
sorry to put in, but this is why when you use the terms like win now and this type of forward, etc. I don't look at it in that sense. I look at it: who is going to improve Arsenal's squad right now? Who's going to allow us to get to another level? You sign Nico Williams and Sesko. Yes, you have Sesko, who I've said before, is very raw in certain aspects, but he improves the team. He does improve the team and what we can do.
He improves us, but I think I just want that guarantee. And that's why I'm pushing for Arsenal to go and sign the best in class. And ultimately, that's Isak. I did this poll. Cast your minds back to last deadline day. Do you agree or disagree that at the time, most sensible fans felt that even though we hadn't got a star forward across the line, considering the back end of 23-24, Havertz's form, we didn't know the injury situation we faced, etc., we could compete across 4 competitions again? So no would be the idea that very few people felt we could compete again. I couldn't believe that many people voted no. I mean, yes, 1. But I really think people are being... Look, maybe I just exist in my own reality. And in some ways I do. But I don't buy that. I'm sorry. I think most fans, with Saka, Martinelli, Jesus, Havertz fit, based on the back of 23-24, on deadline day, we hadn't done enough in terms of, had we gone and signed the Isak or the player that we all wanted? No. But I think most fans felt we could go and compete for the title again, very successfully. So, and this is my point, is that, like, I just want that guarantee. That thing of like, there's no doubts. That's what we left last summer. And my point wasn't, they're kind of 2 separate points. I felt we had enough. And I think people are claiming that I think a lot of people are claiming that they felt that we didn't have enough and we were never going to compete. That's just not true. But the way things have played out, I see why people are saying that. But now I just don't want to take that risk. I just want to just sign the win now forward. You know what I mean?
For sure. We need to, I said, you need to invest in quality as of today. I still think you signed Sesko and Williams. You told me today, right, you're getting that. I'll be like, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I'm being harsh. Maybe I would be happy. I'd be happy. Yeah. If we sign 2 players who I think, and Sesko isn't quite... Again, it's difficult. Project forward, I'm talking more like a bit of a name that we haven't heard of, someone who is sort of highly rated. And I could go and think of some names, but like Sesko and Williams and so many, they all kind of fit in that just below category. But if you sign both of them, you massively improve.
Exactly.
Clive Baby says Garcia, Zubi, Naipan, Williams, Sesko, and Semenyo. Would you be happy with that, Summer?
Garcia, Zubi, Naipan. Depends on the outgoings, though, right? In terms of other areas, like again, we're going back to that right centre back, right back, and left back debate as well. So it depends. Like I think the thing is we have a lot to do this summer, quite a lot. So
XTM94 says would love a Morgan Rogers type dribbling 8.
I think we already have one there.
In a miles, should see it happen. Dinny says, when you're done, pick one player for each. Go up from the bottom. The 8-10 Fiera stayed. I don't think that. I think that can be someone like a Naipan.
Yeah.
I'm not scout, so I'm not gonna have all the names. New player for me this week. Hugo Larsson. Guy at Frankfurt who got linked to by Plettergol.
Yeah.
I just, I hear, I can't watch every league in the world. And I heard of him. I liked him. I think he's from what I watched, he ground duels very similar to Declan Rice, but he's got more of an attacking threat. But again, need to watch more of him. Right back, right centre back.
Don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know names. That's the thing. But
yeah, you're asking.
wrong
people.
I did like Danso, not gonna lie.
Yeah, Danso was nice. Dynamic left back. Again, it would have to be a U20. Have to be a U20. Someone who is a bit of a project. I don't have that name. In terms of project forward,
I really want Sesko.
I don't think he's a project though. He's closer. He's somewhere in between for me.
I don't mind. Like, if you invest big in the front line, I definitely want Sesko to be part of that plan.
A 6, if we're losing J20 and Partey, I think Zubimendi makes sense. Second goalkeeper, Garcia makes sense. And a win now forward, Isak makes sense. They're all the links. I just don't. I think I'm more about profiles at the minute. I think we should at some point do a pod where we come with names. I'll do some research and stuff, but I don't want to sit here and be like, "Oh, definitely this player." Because I like to be a bit more thorough in it. I like to try and watch the games, and then it's like, no, don't watch the games. Don't watch games and form opinions of games. Rohan, Rice has played right centre back in the past. If we get Kimmich, he can play 6-8 right back. Right injury would be disastrous in top 5 AFC players of 24-25.
There's a fair point, but I wouldn't want Declan Rice to be shifted into the back line in any scenario, to be honest. It's just not the way to maximise his skill set. I'd personally rather invest in the window that allows us to keep Declan Rice where he's at his best. But I hear that. I do hear that.
He's coming for you, Dane. He hates you. Do you feel that venom in his voice?
I love Dane.
It's because we're missing 5 minutes of Apprentice.
We are not missing 5 minutes of Apprentice.
You can just go back on the. If you go on the iPlayer, you just press back. Nathan Piper, the players you list under prospect are the best players in Europe for a number of stats. Your Barcola and Isak are unavailable. Well, I haven't listed a prospect, so if you're talking about Semenyo and those guys, I don't think they're prospect forwards. Barcola and Isak, but again, look, Arsenal are trying to win the Champions League and the Premier League. This is why I'm pushing for those. But if you say that if Newcastle don't get Champions League, you have to ask the question. I'm not saying we're going to get them, but that's what I want. I think we should aim for those players.
We can want it. Arsenal can win the Premier League with authority without Alexander Isak, and I'll stand by that. We can do it.
I think we can. Yeah, I think we can. But I think we guarantee.
I don't know if you can always guarantee in football.
As close, but you know what I mean. As close to guarantee. If you sign an Isak, that's a guarantee. If everyone's, but again, it's everyone stays fit and whatever. Nathan says Kenneth Taylor for 8. We are done, folks. Nathan's been repping this guy for years.
Yeah, he has been.
I remember watching him. He was all right. Sean, how many times have I said that MA is building a Champions League team? Don't forget it, boys.
He's certainly indeed.
It's just when we come up against Real Madrid, that's the problem.
I'll be there.
We should come with names. I think let's do this. I think I'm going to screenshot this, and then we'll do another pod where we come with names, and I'll do some proper research and stuff. Because frankly, we're going off links right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I'll screenshot that, and we'll come with some names and stuff, specifically for like the right back, right centre back, and stuff. Yeah, it'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Franco Mastantuono says Remit the Frog. I've heard of him.
I wonder if that's
I think he's Argentinian. Mastantuono. Yeah, he is Argentinian. Plays for River Plate. Problem is always translation, isn't it? It's always translation. This is what the guy on the podcast was talking about translation. It's like that's the biggest question. It's all very. And we're seeing Fabio Vieira ball out of Porto, and everyone's going, "Oh!" And I'm going, "We saw this in 21-22." Like the question is, can he translate? So yeah, Rohan is desperate for this stream to end. Can you feel it? You can just feel the desperation for it to end. It's unprofessional. It's rude. It's disrespectful. The kind of podcast listeners are going to riot, I say.
How many podcasts do more than an hour and 30 minutes?
I'm just going to keep going.
I will leave.
Thank you all. Rohan hates us, says Jack Watson. Absolutely. Thank you all for being here. We will be back with another TCP Live next Thursday. As always, the best thumbnail.
Yeah, it's
the best thumbnail.
It's top.
It's unbelievable. Just it's incredible. Lots of hate for you in the chat. Lots of hate for you.
I'll take it as long as I.
Are you going to show your face again next week? That's the big question.
I'll be doing that again, and this time next week I'll be doing exactly the same thing.
All this for The Apprentice in 2025. Do you know what I mean? The Apprentice.
It's not.
It's such a bad program. Do you know what you should watch, mate? Married at First Sight Australia. That's just started. Great stuff.
I watched The Wolf of Wall Street actually a couple of days ago.
For the first time?
Yeah, my God. Well, it depends on who you are, but I found it quite good.
Yeah, it's a good yarn, isn't it? It's a good yarn.
You don't have to think in it. You just sit there and watch it.
It's very masculine. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Thank you all for being here. Thanks for your super chats. Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the Cannon Podcast. We've got a youth pod coming out tomorrow. We've got an instant reaction to the Manchester United game on Saturday with Rohan.
I can tell you now, I'm not looking forward to that because that day, right, I've got India in the final and I've got Arsenal playing United.
There's a lot of Rohan out in the chat, mate. Ooh.
Fine, I won't be here next week.
No, I'm going.
I'm going.
None of you want me. We love you, Rohan. We love you. We love you. We'll finish there. Thank you all for watching. Thanks for I'll say it at the end. Thank you, Rohan.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And thanks for keeping it Arsenal. What if I just kept the stream going?
Just let's go. Let's go.
No, but what if I just kept going?
Bye.
No, but what if I kept going?
Tens of thousands of football fans came to Highbury. Electrifying!